So yeah, I was originally going to do season 5, episode 9, and because of rethinking and a couple of things, I redid it. No, season 9, episode 6. But I would like to point out, I will still do season 9, episode 6 tomorrow. I do have a couple of things. It is more of a simple idea, and I just like a specific concept. But I would like to point out season 9, episode 5, which is the earlier episode. I don't have. I didn't thought I had much, and then when I thought about it, I was like, actually, no, it is a good episode. Well, it is a good episode. I didn't say claim otherwise. But the one thing which I was like umming and ahhing over was most of the thing doesn't deal with the crime. I'm like, well, most of the time some of the time I'm talking about the personal relationship, and sometimes how that moves forwards. And this one is interesting. So let's do with the criminal minds. Let's do the crime side because that I think is interesting, connecting with the other part of the episode. So most of the crime deals with this thing of one person who's gone missing, and slowly realizing that one, things might end a specific way, and two, that it wasn't like, oh no, they went uh, against their will, and it's like, no, she went fully intending to go, and it's interesting. I also like how it sort of deals with one person dealing with trying to end it all, and still trying to have one last good ride, which is really fun. Okay, now let's deal with Aaron Hotch. Because I also like this because Aaron Hotch is about to die. He doesn't die. Spoilers, he doesn't die. But he's in a lot more episodes. So besides a thing earlier, and that has something to do with more interpersonal reasons of outside shooting. I'm not going to get into that because that's the real world stuff, and I'm more into analyzing the story. So, with this, what happens? You go to Route 66, and that's actually the name of it. I should use the names more, but I don't. And he has a whole thing of going to the cinema, and then going to watch his life, and then um, his wife comes, and I like the thing of um, George Floyd, not George Floyd, Floyd. What is it? Why am I always bad with names? I'm really stupid sometimes. Ugh. First, Foyette. Foyette shows up, which is interesting. And obviously, I've talked about him. He's kind of big in the show because he is one of the more sort of a person who occasionally comes back. At this point, he can't because he is dead. I also like the fact that Faye does this joke of like, "Oh, I'm going down underground," but it won't though. It's a heat down there, sort of like underground. It's sort of like underneath the ground where a lot of people think hell is, which I think is a fun idea of like, oh, hell. Da, da, da. I like it because of that. I think it's really interesting. Definitely with some of the stuff that happens, it's definitely fun. Um, I also think it's good because this parallels the earlier story because he is looking at sort of in his mind in these sort of interpretations. I sort of interpret them the way that I think most people are, which is this isn't technically actually happening, rather the mind going through the process. So this isn't his wife and this isn't Foyette. This is his mind's version of his wife and Foyette, which is interesting. I think it's sort of like a fun way of because that was a huge thing in the earlier season, him and his wife having that relationship. Obviously, they broke up at a certain point and then had this situation. but it's really fun and brings that together in such a way. You also had Foyet, who again makes it seem so much worse, and he questions if he wants to be with his wife. And it's really fun of that sort of choice. Because throughout the season, he's been connecting to someone else, which I think sort of makes it really interesting of like choosing whether to stay or whether to go. It makes it fun and makes it really interesting overall. So yeah, on that sad note, I hope you enjoy, I hope you like this video, and good night.